Hey, everybody, this is Robert Hayes, and you're listening to the Surely You Can't Be Serious podcast.
When I was a little boy, the movies brought me so much joy, and the music kicked butt like nothing today. Then the world went insane, but that's when Surely came and gave me joy in that same old way. Surely there's a time machine. Surely we won't cross the streams. Surely this can't be the best there is. Surely you're my rocket queen, got my back against the wrecking machine. Surely you can't be serious.
All right, guys, thanks for coming back for part 2 of our interview with Mr. Robert Hayes, star of the Airplane movies. And in case you missed the interview last week, check it out. This actually happened during our interview.
Peter Graves, after he threw the script down, said it's the biggest piece of garbage I've ever written, that I've ever read. And his daughters said, "Dad, but they're really talking about this. It's going to be funny. You got to read it." Again, the agent said, "Peter, there's buzz about this. You got to read it." So he said, "Okay." Whoa. Julie Hagerty.
Go ahead and answer. Go ahead and answer. Yeah, go ahead and answer.
Julie.
Oh. All right, guys, that actually is actress Julie Hagerty, who called right in the middle of our interview just purely by chance. And because we were talking to Mr. Robert Hayes at the time, he was nice enough to put her on speakerphone, and we actually got to speak with her a little bit as well. It was super cool. We were so stoked. So please enjoy part 2 of our interview with Mr. Robert Hayes, with a little bonus conversation with Miss Julie Hagerty. Thanks, guys.
Can I put you on speaker real quick? I'm going to put you on speaker,
Oh,
okay?
my gosh.
Okay. I'm with Dee and Jason on their podcast, and we're talking about you right now.
Oh, my gosh.
Great.
What a day. Hi, Julie.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, my gosh. We love you.
Oh, I love you guys, and I love my Bobby. You've got Bobby.
We prepared this. I told her to give us a call. Give me a call.
Oh, my gosh.
They're getting 2 for the price of 1. We're talking about the upcoming shows that we're doing.
Oh, wonderful. I know. That's why I called, because we're going to be seeing each other in just a few days.
Yes.
Yeah. So you
I
guys
know.
are, yeah,
It
you're talking about
begins.
the live
Yeah.
tour. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to be showing the film and be on tour around the country, showing the film. Julie and I are going to come out afterwards. Dan Pasternak is our moderator. He's done lots of stuff for Turner Classics and TNT. He's produced a bunch of stuff, teaches film. He knows all about it. And then we do questions from the audience. And then afterwards we do a little meet and greet and take pictures with people and have a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun.
That's fantastic.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys are so personable and wonderful. I don't know how anybody would want to miss the opportunity to go see it. Are you?
Do we have that in the camera? There we go.
Do you remember how many shows that you have? I know that I looked at the website and there was a whole list on the tour. I saw Wisconsin on there, but there's probably
10 or
dozen or 2 dozen maybe shows that you guys are going to do.
Yeah, this first round of them is, I think there's 10 or 12 on there. I think I haven't counted them lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't either, but it's a whole page. And it's just going to be so much fun to hang out with Bob and meet all the people and you know, I don't know. I'm very excited.
Oh, it's going to be so fun.
Yeah. So for everybody who's listening to this right now, if you're interested in the show, it is, I believe the website is airplanelivetour.com.
Right.
And you can go on there, see where your closest city is, and go watch one of the greatest movies ever made, and then talk to a couple of the folks who were integral. Yeah.
And come hang
And
out.
come hang out with you guys.
Wow.
This is so weird.
I know.
You're
This is
on the
perfect.
Surely You Can't Be Serious podcast.
You know what the name of this podcast is, Julie?
No.
It's called Surely You Can't Be Serious.
Get out.
They started it 7 years ago.
Wow, and where are you guys?
Norman.
We're in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Norman, Oklahoma, the home
Norman,
of James
Oklahoma.
Garner.
That's right.
Oh wow. Oh wow. He's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
He's a favorite son here for sure. Yeah. Maybe you guys will pass through Dallas or something where we could come see you guys.
We were hoping we were, I guess they're trying to figure out if we're going to do it. We had Dallas and Houston and Austin all kind of in there for a while, but you've got to negotiate. And a lot of people want to use the venues. So you got to negotiate and see who's there first, who's offering the most money, who's get the most kickback, who's most under the table. I don't know, whatever.
Wow.
So, I got to know, Julie, what's the story that you always tell about Robert or Bobby, I guess? What's the story you always tell people about Bobby whenever you're asked?
Well, just like when he would show up to work, he always showed up, but you always knew that he was on the sound stage because you would hear him getting closer and closer, but there were just waves of laughter. So you could say, oh, they're laughing over makeup. Bob's there. Oh, he's over craft surface because people are laughing. He just would bring joy to, everybody.
Wow.
Sweet. That's amazing.
I was paying off my bets. They were laughing because they said, I thought you'd never do it.
No, he's my favorite leading man.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's high praise.
Yeah.
She's
and that was my first movie. And he just kind of took me under his wing. He was doing Angie at the time. And, so he would run from the Angie over and then do Airplane all on a day.
Wow.
For the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
It was just, and as scared as I was, Bob just always made you feel safe and happy. And, I didn't even know about where you were supposed to stand or being in somebody's light or any of that stuff. And Bob would just move me around, stand there.
It was my first film too, but I was so cocky. I just acted like I knew what I was doing.
He was Ted Stryker.
I was acting.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, there isn't a cocky bone in your body.
Yeah,
Okay.
Well,
Watch it, you guys. Well, listen, I'll call you back. How's that?
call me back, and it was nice to visit with you guys. I'm driving in California, and people are honking at me.
So wonderful speaking with you. What a wonderful surprise.
I hope you had a wonderful trip. I heard you were traveling.
Yeah, so we were in Spain, and I just got home and just looking forward to seeing Bob and doing this tour and meeting all the people. And I got to meet you guys over the phone. So,
oh
wow.
my gosh.
Wonderful.
What a day. What a day.
Well, thanks for letting me crash. And Bob, I'll talk to you soon.
Perfect. Okay, cutie pie. I will talk to you. I'll call you afterwards.
I love you. Okay, bye-bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Julie. Wow, what a thrill.
Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh.
That's her voice. That's her. She doesn't put it
Sounds
on.
exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just exactly.
When
the
we were
same.
we did a scene right behind the cockpit, and we're going back and forth. And they said action, and I think she had the first line, I think, and she screwed it up. And they said cut, and she said, "I'm sorry," with that little voice. And I said, no, Julie, don't worry about it. That's okay. That's okay. Okay, we're going to go again. She said, "I'm sorry." I said, "Don't worry about it. Have you got the line? Did you give her the line?" "Yep, we're all set." Okay, Okay, are you ready? I'm sorry. Yeah, no. We're ready to go. So what we like, at the time I'm doing Angie, but I was also going back and forth the last 2 weeks of it doing it. And what I used to do on Angie was we'd have a kid come on and he's just got one little small scene and he's so nervous and he's so scared and uptight. And he would blow a line. And then they'd say, cut. Okay, let's go again. We'd go again, ready, and action. And then I'd blow the line. And then I'd say, look what you did to me. I was catching. You did this. And he'd go like that. And then he'd realize I was joking. And then he would laugh. Everybody was laughing. And then he was relaxed. And then he'd get the line again. And I'd say, okay, I got my eye on you, and then he would laugh. And then we'd do the scene and he's comfortable. And I was thinking about that. Gee, I wonder if I should do that or not. And they said action, and she did her line, and I just did it and I blew the line. And I think it's because I was thinking about should I or shouldn't I, and I blew the line. And they said cut, and she said, "I'm sorry." And I said, "No, Julie, it was Bob. It wasn't you." And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry." She's that cute. She's that
great.
sweet. She's the sweetest thing on the planet. Yeah.
Wow.
So, anyway, what a surprise! That was a fun surprise.
That was, yeah.
That made
Couldn't
my
have
day.
couldn't have timed
My
it any
goodness.
better. Yeah. I'm
No.
just going to go sit by myself and just think about how blessed I am. This is freaking incredible. So we've got so many questions, and I don't want to take up more of your time, but two things that I want to talk about. Tell me about your first meeting with the boys and what that experience was like. And then I just want to, Cat's Eye is one of our favorites from when we were younger guys. And I would just be curious about a little bit of a story behind making that movie.
Well, with Airplane, with the boys, my agent, Arnie Soloway, was my agent. He was one of the clients embroidered they were doing needlepoint, and they made a pillow that had a heart on it, and it said hustler with a heart. And he was the typical New York Jewish agent, Brooklyn guy. And his shirt was always unbuttoned down to the middle of his belly. He had gold chains hanging on, and always was out in the sun, always looked like a coffee bean. He was and he was, yo, Bobby, baby, that kind of guy.
Sweetheart.
I got a role to go to read for, and I went, wait a minute, this isn't me. It was just it was that character, with all that stuff. And he said, hey, just go in and be me. But he had a new agent come in named Beth Voicu, and she had worked with Howard Koch. And so she came into the agency, and she called Howard up and said, Howard, you guys are still looking for your Ted Stryker? He says, yeah, we're looking everywhere. I got him. And he said, well, bring him by. So, got the picture, resume and everything, and took it over, but, brought me in. So I go in and I meet Howard in his office, and the boys were there. And so we met, and we all liked each other. We all got along, and then they had me read, and they liked my reading, and they said, "Okay, great. Well, let's screen test them." They had Julie, and they wanted Julie, and they had been everywhere. They'd been in New York and Dallas, Chicago, Detroit, Seattle, Minneapolis. I mean, they'd been everywhere, all over LA. And they just couldn't find the right Ted Stryker. And Bruce Jenner, when Caitlin was Bruce Jenner, wanted to. The joke David has is that Bruce came in twice to read for Ted, and came in a third time to read for Julie's. But I don't know how true that is. But a lot of people, big people wanted to get in that. There was an actress big actress, Sigourney Weaver, maybe, or somebody
Oh, okay.
like that. and got
Oh,
dressed
way
up
different.
in the whole
Way different. Yeah.
40s stewardess outfit, everything. And
Wow.
came in and read. It was like, wow, someone's really committed. But she started telling them, okay, I'm not going to say that line, and I'm not going to say a line. This one has to be changed to this and this. And they all were kind of looking at each other and they're thinking, okay, well, thank you. Thank you
Right.
very much. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh gosh, oh, because that's the thing. Those lines, they had rewritten, and there was no improv. That was them. So that was a disaster. I think they escaped from having someone come in and change everything. So they got Julie. Julie just seemed perfect, but they didn't have Ted, and they thought, well, this has got possibilities. We like him. Let's see what it looks like. The studio wanted him to test three couples. And so they put Julie and me together. I just always figured I was really lucky that I got to test with Julie, and she felt that way about me. And, but I guess that was their plan. And so they did the three couples, and the word came back. They liked my spit take. When, how's what's his name? Oh, he
George
died.
Zip. Yeah. The
George
Zipper.
Zip. Yeah. He died this morning. Then you see the spit take go. And they said they liked my spit take. So anyway, they cast me, and then they came over. They were on the other side of Paramount, and they came over when we were rehearsing Angie, the scene, and they got my attention. I went back behind the big cyclorama, and the wall, there was a space about 3 feet or so. And we huddled back there, and they said, okay, well, that's it. You're the one. We want you. And it was like, whoa. So it was like the little kids jumping up and down and excited, and said, okay, well, I guess you better get back to work, and we got to get to work. So we'll talk soon. And they said, great. And so I left. And as they're leaving and they're walking across the parking lot, Jim said, he turned to the boys, the other two, and he said, maybe we should take a look at this, Angie. We never looked at it.
Oh, wow.
So they went and they got a copy of, one of the episodes, or a few of them. And they looked at it and they said, oh God, what have we done? Because that's a totally different thing. That's slapstick, and it's yuck, yuck, yuck. The audience applause signs, you're standing in the sunlight and you've got 5 shadows, because of all the light.
Right.
So it's just, they thought, oh geez. And then we got on the set, and after the first day they said, oh, whew, it's good. It's all working good. So
wow.
that was the way that happened. Beth used to come over on the set because she was so excited that it all worked out. And she'd come over for like the first, I don't know, week or so. And every time she'd come on the set, they'd run up to her and say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's great.
So I liked hearing that. That was good.
That's nice.
But it was, then it just kind of, we just kept, and their whole idea, I was thinking about that the other day. Someone asked me about that, and I was thinking about it. When I was in Grossmont, I started developing this thing in my mind. When you're a young actor, you're a sponge, and you just soak up everything I could see Henry Fonda and Jimmy Stewart do, and all the little things that Cooper would do, and Cary Grant, and all these, and some of the other actors too. But you soak it all up, and then you kind of try to do it like them. So you're emulating them, and it's not right yet, but you're starting that process. And then when you're doing theater every night, you're doing it again and again and again and again. And then in matinees, Wednesdays and Saturdays and Sundays. And so you got 9 shows a week to do these things. And, you start making it your own,
right.
And then it becomes, like, that's not Henry Fonda's, that's yours, and that's not Jimmy's, that's yours. But, I did Mr. Roberts, which was one of my favorite, that I'd always wanted to do that role. And I did it on NBC Live, the big event, to where you film it and the cameras are on and it's going live across the country, and delayed for the West Coast, but in the Midwest and the East, it's all live. And Josh Logan, who wrote it, co-wrote it, and directed the play and came in and did the film, was technical advisor with us. So it was, Charles Durning was in it. Kevin Bacon was Pulver. I mean, it was quite a big thing.
Wow.
Howard Hesseman was Doc, and he was terrific. It was William Powell's role. So, and then I got to do it again at my home at the Globe Theater. And so you do it over and over. And I heard I think it was the stage manager told me, as people were milling out of the theater, because of the time, maybe just the way I talk. And part of it is because of the years that I lived in Nebraska growing up too, which is where Fonda is from.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when you're talking like that, he had a thing where I'm not sure that's what I want to do, but it's all that, it's got that sing-songy kind of thing. And I kind of have some of that in my voice. And somebody walked out of the theater, and it's a big Navy town. So, they walk out and they're old guys and they all know the Fonda era. And they say, well, he doesn't look like Fonda, but he sure sounded like him. I'm not trying to do that. But you just eventually become your own version of it, of all of that casserole of so many different ingredients, so many different actors, and all that's kind of blends and stews up into what you become,
Fantastic.
For Cat's Eye, it was in was it North Carolina, I think? And it was during the Olympics in '84 Olympics, I think, in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freddie Heights was my stunt double on that. And I had him, like football, when you get all suited up and then you're seeing each other, pop each other like that and get you all hit and awake. And I had to do the scene going around the ledge. I wanted him to really, really get me all shaken up. And then at the end, when I come tumbling back in and I'm covered in sweat and the pigeon has already pecked away at my foot. And I'm just wiped out. And I wanted to really be just really rattled and exhausted and everything. And so he was doing that, and I really thrust myself into him, and it kind of went off center just a little. So his hand, it was all me doing it, that I made that mistake. He got me right there on the sternum and right at the rib, and it kind of separated it, just sort of like a cracked rib, the same feeling as that. But it was like, whoa. And I went ahead and I did the scene, and then on the lunch break, I went to the doc and they did an x-ray, and then I came back, and the very next scene back after lunch was the scene after he's blown the trumpet behind me, and I turn around, whoa, and I slide down that big curve thing and land on the ledge, and the ledge was right across where that crack was.
Yeah.
So they're looking at Daly and say, God, yeah, it's really looking like you're really showing this stuff. And I said, I am. But gosh, that was a neat thing. Kenny McMillan was wonderful to work with. He was such a great actor. And Jimmy Woods was in the first section of it with Alan King. And Jimmy Woods, one of the best actors of his generation, I think.
Wow.
He is so good. I hated all the stuff that happened to him, and I love seeing, him being able to claw out of the abyss. And that was his whole idea, the Oppenheimer. That came from his idea and his script, I think, originally.
Oh, wow.
And that's why he was actually, I think they invited him up on stage when they got the award for that. So that was really cool to see. But he's just great. And Little Miss Barrymore,
Yes.
who I'd known since she was a tiny little thing.
Oh,
Before, what was the Alien?
E.T.
Yeah, before E.T. my friend had written a script that was like an airplane version of Hamlet.
Okay.
So instead of, you know, doing like stabbing the guy in the back, you'd slap a kick me sign on him, you know. When the king is sitting there and he's got his legs crossed, Hamlet would sneak up and put matches in his shoe and light him, give him hot foot. So it's just silly stuff. And my friend wrote it and I directed it at the Variety Arts Theater. And in the beginning, we had an interview with a translator. The translator was Ildiko Jade, who is Little Barrymore's her mom. That's her mom.
Oh,
real
yeah.
mom.
Okay. Yeah.
So, gosh, why can't I think of her name?
Drew.
God. So Drew is all running around, and I'd say, "Come on, Drew, sit down here, get up here, sit on my lap." And so, okay, let's run that again. And I have her sitting there on my lap, or running all around and getting her to sit down, and and then she does the rest of that. Her career is pretty remarkable.
It's
so
remarkable.
That was
Yeah.
kind of fun. But yeah, oh my God, I've just been really lucky. I was talking with some friends about that. A buddy, I don't know, a few years ago, we were talking about it. Say, God, were we lucky? That time period that we got to work in, it was just all so much fun. It was just all the stuff. It was great. Now, and then we complain about now, look at all the junk you got to go through and wear a mask and make sure you got all of the, and I remember sitting on a set when I was like in my 20s, just starting out, and another guy, and we both had, bit parts, and there were two old guys sitting over near us, and they were probably listening to us. We were all excited about this and about that. And then they just turned to each other and they said, God, I remember when it used to be great. And and they were really old. They were like 50, 55.
Right.
and they were talking about when they were in their 20s and 30s and how great it was. And then as I was doing this with my friend, we're talking about that. And God, yeah, it was so great. And I thought, my son has done a few films now. He's mainly in music, but he's done a few films. And he's probably thinking how great it is. I think it's terrible. All the rigid structure, this weird, there's something kind of cold about it. And the video stuff, and you don't have the old camera, the old, film breaking and
Right.
Oh, we got a dust thing in the lens. Shoot it again. Don't open up the magazine. Oh, all the danger and excitement of making movies. So I don't know. We're very, very lucky. Everyone's lucky at their own times, I guess.
I was going to say, I'm curious to your opinion. You've been, you've been in the industry for a long time. And there definitely has been a change. I mean, we talk about it all the time. That's why we cover the movies that were going on in the 80s and the 90s, because that we feel like was the end of the era. And that when the 2000s came along, something happened, something changed.
Yeah.
And whereas you would, I mean, we've looked at summer releases over 20 years and you would just have, just movie after movie after movie coming out in the same month that were all just brilliant movies. And now it seems like we're lucky to get one or two a year.
Yeah.
And so what's your opinion on it? What happened?
I don't know. I don't know exactly. I think a lot of it is the corporate structure. It's like when the golden age of Hollywood, they say that it was the greatest year in the history of Hollywood was 1939. All of the films that came out, that were never nominated even, would be hands down Oscar winners. That's how incredible that whole thing was. Jimmy Stewart, for one of my, if not my all-time favorite, one of my absolute all-time favorite films is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And he didn't get that.
That's incredible.
That was unbelievable. And then he gets it, I think it was the next year, was it? When he got it for Hepburn, Cary Grant. They redid it with Grace Kelly and Bing Crosby. And then Frank Sinatra played the role that Jimmy Stewart played, the photographer, and the writer was a woman, was a writer. And they came out to Long Island, and it was the big wedding, and the rich girl marrying the guy, and, gets back together with Bing, or in that case, Cary Grant, in the first case, that she had been married to. And then they wind up getting back married again. But it's a famous thing. And that anyway, that's what he gets. He gets the supporting actor for that.
Right.
He should have gotten the Academy Award for Mr. Smith. But anyway, that was they call it the golden age. Then that was the greatest year in the history of Hollywood. Then you have a whole thing through the 50s where you had Marlon Brando and James Dean and that rebellious thing, and John Garfield in the late 40s into the 50s. And that was a more of a, the anti-hero kind of, and getting more grit, even though their wardrobe oftentimes looked very dry cleaned. And
Right.
Then you have, speaking of that, you go into the 60s where they show the Cowboys and the Pioneers. And instead of having Roy Rogers' hat that's so perfectly buffed and his fringe is all combed out and, everything is dry cleaned and perfect for every scene, you have them looking like they've just been blowing their nose for the past couple of months in their shirt and wiping their hands on it, grit under their fingernails. And so it became like hyper realistic. We're going to get so grimy that you can smell it from the theater,
Yeah.
And so then it became, and also that's when they started noticing lens flares, which were always considered defects. So you'd have the sun would make a big flare across the lens. And that brings attention to the fact that you got a camera and it's making a flare, and it's like, that's a no-no. That's a big no-no. But all of a sudden in the 60s, that became, well, man, that's really cool. I guess maybe it's a little acid left over from last night. That's really cool. And so that's what all of a sudden you got all these things. And then they do the drawing little lines on the glass and putting it in front, and the light would hit it, and then it would just have little star bursts all over, and you get a little light glinting off your tooth, and you put that on and you have a star kind of going off the tooth. So all these things kind of started changing it. And then it got into the video, when you had all of the old soap operas, which were so cold and stark. And it was that video. You didn't have the warmth of a film, the film emulsion just had this real great feel to it. The black and white even had that. It was just so, soft, the textures, everything. And the soap operas were just cut. It's just a frozen chunk of ice that you etch out the image. And
Right.
And then they started, the process of making the plugins. And you make plugins that you can put in the computer there was a process they had when they started shooting the sitcoms with the video. And once it's all done, completely done, you even have the titles on it, everything, they pass it through this whole process with the software in the computer that would give it that warm tone, soft kind of feel of films. And now that's just kind of like, the quality of videos is pretty remarkable now, but it's still real. It can be crisper than film ever was,
Right.
So all of those things, and I think they've affected the acting, they've affected the directing. And you have really brilliant performances now. And you have a lot of stuff that's like, how the hell are they getting away with this? This is so bad. and they wanted me to come and do a guest spot on a TV show. And I looked at an episode of the thing and I went, I can't, are you kidding me? This thing is so bad. It is so bad. And they said, but this is one of the highest rated shows on TV. I said, man, that is a big problem. That's a huge problem for everybody. If this is the best you got.
Oh man.
Oh my God. So it's just, God, I love old movies. I mean, I just love old movies and the black and whites and the film noirs and and I love seeing black and whites as black and whites. When Turner started colorizing things, and people would tell me, "Yeah, but they went back and they researched it and they found out what the actual colors were." Well, my buddy's his uncle Teddy, just I mean, he's got a lot of family in theater since the 1800s, big family stuff, and also his mom's cousin, I guess, his mom's mother's sister's daughter. So that'd be her cousin. So his first cousin, once removed, was a woman. She had gone off. The cousin had gone off and married this guy in Tijuana, and they had a review. And their daughter had become sort of the star of the review, and she came up when she was young to Hollywood and started working when she was 16, I think, some of the Andy Hardy movies, and she changed her last name, Cancino, their name was Haworth, and she changed it to Hayworth, Rita Hayworth. Who it was. So that's kind of part of his family. Well, Teddy Haworth, his uncle Teddy, was a production designer, and he did The Wild One with Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Remember that? He won the Academy Award for Marty. Remember that?
Sean Connery, right?
Ernie Borgnine. No, Marnie.
Oh.
Marnie was with Sean Connery.
Okay.
But Marty was the old, the big fat Italian guy. Hey, Marty, what do you want to do? I don't know. Sally, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want? I mean, it was just that slice of life in New York. But he won the Academy Award for that. And he won the Academy Award for Sayonara with Marlon Brando and Red Buttons and over in Japan, that whole thing. He was nominated 5 times, maybe 7 times. He said the first thing he would ask when the producer came with, they said, here's the film we want to do. The very first thing he would ask is, as a production designer, is it, you going to shoot it in color or black and white? Because if it's in color, you've got a color scheme that you're going to use. If it's black and white, you choose all the colors for the graduations of color, of grays on the gray scale. So if they say, well, we found out what the real color was, well, that was the key to the grayscale. It's supposed to be in black and white. So what you've just done is taken the Mona Lisa and say, well, we found out that she actually had a big booger hanging out of her nose and we put it out there because it's cool. I just despise that kind of stuff. And so I love those old films. They're just so great.
The authentic.
I was talking to Dee just the other day about one of your old movies, and I hate to keep going, but Take This Job and Shove It.
They're getting old.
Take This Job and Shove It was an early HBO classic for me that I used to love to watch. And I watched it the other day, and I made a remark to Dee. I'm like, the amount of beautiful women that he got to kiss in this movie was unbelievable.
Barbara Hershey.
Hershey, young.
So gorgeous. And I got to work with Art Carney, who is a legend. To me, he was the greatest of all time. He was just amazing. And I loved that. And also I got to work with a character actor that it was funny because he was just one of the guys working down in the beer factory. But I'd go over to him and I'd try to engage him in conversation, but he was just kind of like, very kind, very nice guy, and he'd talk a little, but that was Royal Dano. Do you remember Royal Dano? He used to play Lincoln. He had that face. He played Lincoln. He was on a lot of the Rifleman episodes.
Oh, yeah.
He was Gunsmoke. Oh, he was wonderful.
Yes.
And his son came up to me at an event. It was a surfers healing event down at the beach for autistic kids. My friend started, and his son was there. And he came up to me and introduced himself and said, yeah, my dad was an actor, and I think you would work with him, Royal Dano. I said, Dano, yes, absolutely. Take This Job and Shove It. God, I love Royal Dano. And he said, really? And I said, oh, God, yeah, he was one of my favorites. And they said, wow, really? That was so cute. It was really, really neat. But I mean, that's I even got a Barbara Hershey story that I can't tell you. It was
Oh,
If I take off if I hit the off record button, can you tell us then?
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I suppose I could but yeah, it was. She was really neat. She was really, really neat. She was a wonderful lady and a wonderful actress. Gosh, she's really amazing. But well, tell me when you are going to push the mute or whatever you call it.
I'm gonna do it right now, and everybody else who's watching is gonna be like, "I'm sorry, you don't get to know." But all right, I'm gonna hit this. Just pause.
Pause. Thank you for sharing that wonderful, wonderful story.
Now, if that's spread out all over, then I'll know where it came from.
Right.
That's you have our word. That's great. Okay, I got one last question for you. Tell us about something that you love that you feel like maybe flew under the radar a little bit. That you've got. I don't realize we're talking about 45 years of work here, but or maybe back in your TV days, 50 years of work here, but something that you just either you were proud of it, loved doing it, loved the final product, whatever it might have been that just didn't see as much light of day as you wanted it to.
Oh gosh. Well, Airplane is always, I mean, that's just the jewel in the crown kind of a thing. But also, and Angie, I really love working with Donna, and that was all so much fun. Starman was probably my number two. I mean, just because of the whole thing, the way it came about, what we did, we really had to fight for it. We had like 6 or 7 or more time slots. They kept moving us around. People were trying to find out where the heck were we. It was a losing battle. They actually told Bob Urich, who was a friend of mine. Bob told me when they were at one of those big, that you were going to renew for next year parties in New York. I think they have them. And they said the biggest mistake we made that year was not renewing Starman. And then by then everyone's gone and they're off doing other things. So you can't get everyone back again. And that was such a special show. And I was sorry that if they had picked it up for one more season and actually gave it a chance to where we could build the following and people knew where it was. And they actually told me, they said, well, we promote the show right before you and then figure they're going to stay on the channel. I think, what about promoting us?
Right,
what the hell? And it's like, oh, well, this is what we do. Go to another network if you don't like it. I don't know it, but that was just, it was so special. I had letters from people. I had letters from a teacher in New York that said every night when it was on, she would tell the class, I want you to go home and you all watch that show. And then the next day they'd come in and they would talk about it because she said that it was such a healthy relationship with the father and son. And she was in a inner city school where that didn't always happen. And they used that. And she said, I want you to put that show back on. And I said, well, I want the show back on too. Don't talk to me. You got to talk to the people of the network.
Right.
But that was just really, really, really special to me. Another one that I did that was like you're talking about under the radar because it was such a small little film. John Flynn directed it. It was called, on the one hand, it had so many different titles. Let me just see real quickly here.
No problem.
Robert Hayes is searching his own IMDb history right now. I can't tell you how many times I've had to stop the show and go, wait a minute, I got to look at Robert Hayes' IMDb history.
It was finally called Touched,
Touch.
which I thought was like, that's kind of
got a craving for young boys.
It was some sunny day. I was in a mental institution and there was a girl in there it was like developmental. It was like not being able to concentrate, not being able to express yourself. Like you want to and you can't figure out why. Whatever's blocking you, you have emotional blocks, and you get so frustrated that you can lash out. And so they put me in this place, and it wasn't like I was committed and I could leave, like any time you can pull me out. She and I Kathleen Beller was her name, and she and I we fell in like. We were real good friends.
That's cool.
And I felt like taking care of her, and she felt like I was, could take care of her, that she, and she was very afraid. And I just left one night. I left, and we filmed it in Princeton. I think it was somewhere in New Jersey. I left and I go to the boardwalk in New Jersey. I go out to the boardwalk and I'm wandering around, and I wind up getting a job where they throw the ball and you hit the target, it dunks the clown up in the thing. And I got a job as the clown. And the guy that was working there, he gets, he taught me all the different things. And the problem is, several guys that did this in the past show up needing some money. Hey, Mick, can I have and they're all disfigured and because there are guys that don't like to be taunted like that. So after work, they hunt you down and they beat the crap out of you. And so, and that happens to me in the show. But what happened in the course of that it was like a healing thing. It opened it up to me. I could express myself. And I could be a wiseacre, and I could do all this. And you come up with all these taunts, and you come up with them, and you write them down, and you memorize them. And it's like, oh, hey, hey, look at the size of this one. When you say I'm gonna be around the house, you're around the house. Like you never missed a meal, did you? Oh, your mouth's like a golf course, 18 holes and all green. These kinds of things. And you see the guys, and then you see those guys that were really pissed, and you focus in on them, and they're going to be the ones that come and beat me later. But I go back and I get her, and I bring her back to the little place that I found that I rent, and I'm making enough money to just be able to rent this tiny little thing. Great little location right on a canal kind of a thing. And it was working with John Flynn was so incredible for me because we thought alike, and it was the first time I ever had anyone. He said, okay, well, I don't like to talk a lot, about all this stuff, and just want you to just get out there and just do it. And I said, well, great, because I don't like to talk about either. I just like to get out and just do it. And he said, oh, good, okay. So we were stuck in the hallway of that little set, of that little place that we were renting. In the hallway to go upstairs, it was so tight. The camera was right there at the halfway point stairwell. He was right next to it. The camera operator was in there. It was so tight. We filmed it, and it wasn't right, and I felt it wasn't right. And then I went back up, said, let's go again. And then he leaned down. He said, hey, Bob. And I leaned out, and then I went down. I said, yeah. And I looked at him, and he just went like he was trying to think of something to tell me. And I went, and he said, and that was it. Whatever, nobody would know what we were talking about. But then I just went up, and it just unlocked one little thing inside of me, and I just did it. And it was just right. It felt right to me. And he just went like that. And that was it. We moved on. So we'd go out and have dinner, a bunch of us and the crew and everybody. And, we'd have lots of Guinness or whatever we're having. and he opened up one night after a few drinks. He said, whenever I'm watching you, he says, whenever I'm shooting a scene, I don't watch you. I watch everybody else. And I was thinking, is that a compliment, or is this like he just can't stand watching? And he said, there's only one other actor that I ever did that with, and that was Robert Duvall, because he did a film with Robert Duvall. Oh, yeah. And he said, I always know that you guys are going to be doing everything just right. I'm watching everybody else to figure, wait a minute, we got to do it. And I thought, man, that's one of the highest compliments I ever had.
Absolutely.
Love it.
And that movie, Some Sunny Day or Touched or whatever, it wound up being tied up with the producers that were getting the money together and asking it from their parents and their parents' friends and everyone they could. And so it probably got all tied up anyway. I don't think it's even available anymore. And I really loved it. It was just a little tiny independent film that we did that was just to me, a little gem that I always wanted to go find it, see if I could just buy it and I would have it and I could just get it out there.
Yeah.
Because I was proud of the work. Yeah.
I love it.
We'll see if we can track it down.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Okay.
The only thing I would really like to hear about, one last thing, if I can stretch it, you were Tony Stark. I mean, you were Iron Man. Tell me about that experience.
That was really fun. I love doing the voiceover things. It's a lot of fun, but it's such a click. It's really hard to get into it. And there are people that actors that just do that. They don't really pursue being on camera. They're not as comfortable with that. And they're very good. I mean, some of these guys are just amazing for their voices and what they can do. And so I really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun doing it. Some of the most fun was when they say, okay, now we got a Mexican tugboat captain. Who wants to do that one? And I said, oh, I'll do it. They said, okay, Bob, you do that. And then you're doing the guy who is, this is very, so that was some of the most fun. But who's it? Michael, John's last name. He actually did the voice of Iron Man before me. And it came out on VHS. That's how old it was.
Okay.
And he was in Airplane 2, I think it was.
Okay.
In the courtroom scene. Yeah, I think it was in the courtroom scene with Perry Mason as our judge.
Yeah.
And when they asked him, what's your impression of Ted Stryker? He said, I'm sorry, I don't do impressions.
Yeah.
That's great.
And you would know him in a second. He did so many things over the decades and decades of career. And wonderful, wonderful actor with a big, deep voice, kind of like Leslie's, a big, deep, mellifluous voice like that. But he did. He's the first one that I know of that did Iron Man, and it was fun. It was fun, and then doing that in some of the other Superman or whatever the other shows,
Yeah.
Spider-Man, where you had that same universe of characters. And
Spider-Man, the
you
Hulk,
could
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's
It was
fantastic.
fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, this has been a wonderful day. Thank you so much for taking so much time with us. We're so grateful.
I was just checking real close to see if I did my Ted Stryker on you, and I think so. I've seen little X's where the eyes used to be.
No way. We're thrilled. Thank you so much.
Eat it all up. Absolutely.
Good.
Well, thank you, everybody. This has been an amazing experience. Please hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. Please check out the airplanelivetour.com so that you can see when Robert Hayes and Julie Hagerty are going to be at a theater near you, talking to all of you about their wonderful experiences making this movie. Robert, I can't tell you thank you enough. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
It was great fun. This is great. This has got to be this is the longest one I think that I've done. And it's got to be one of my favorites because we just had so much fun with it. And that's really cool since it's the name that it is. So,
Yeah. We will.
and also the fact that Julie just popped up.
That was amazing.
That was great.
amazing.
Okay. Thank you guys. We will see you guys next week.